This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, Karetane and Wakawaiti residents are being told not to use their water for cooking or drinking as lead levels are 4 times above acceptable. The Dunedin City Council has announced a proposal to rezone a significant amount of land for residential use. And it's construction time at Dunedin's Bayfield High School, with the demolition equipment making way for new buildings. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Sophie Morris. People living in Karetane and Waikawaiti are being asked to avoid drinking the water due to the risk of lead poisoning. High levels of lead have been detected in the water since early December, but it's unclear if the issue is an ongoing one.
So it's do not drink, do not use the water for food preparation, but you can use the water for showering, for washing your hands, for washing clothes, etc. As has also been mentioned, don't boil the water, that actually concentrates lead and makes it worse.
That's the advice from Dr. Susan Jack, who is a medical officer of health for Otago and Southland, to the people living just north of Dunedin in the townships of Karetane and Waikawaiti. Unexpected high levels of lead were found in drinking water samples from the area at the beginning of December, but it appears having people away on holiday has delayed any action until now. Dunedin Mayor Aaron Hawkins is keen to say all hands are now at the pump, with drinking water being trucked in and more studies underway.
We have our finest people on the job, trying to get on top of this, figure out what it is that we need to do to address this situation and get that supply operating again as soon as we can.
While ongoing lead contamination can cause adverse effects to people's health, test results show the spikes of lead appear to be sporadic.
It's been intermittent spiking of high lead levels, but because we don't know where the source is, we're taking this time. DCC is going to be doing further investigation.
So, it's still unclear how long the 1,500 residents in the area will be without drinking water. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And we'll bring you more on this story in tomorrow's bulletin. A person is in hospital with serious injuries after a small tractor rolled in the Dunedin suburb of North East Valley this morning. Police say emergency services were called to a Buckley Street property at just before 11 a.m.
Crews from Guybank Fire Station and Dunedin City Station got responded to a rescue of a digger rolling on Buckley Street after it came through to St John. When we arrived, there's one patient with some injuries. We helped St John extract him down to their waiting ambulance at the bottom of the hill using a Stokes basket.
The street was blocked for a time as fire crews retrieved their tractor operator. Workers from towing firm Riley's had the task of bringing the tractor up from the bank, with the retaining wall collapsing during their efforts. St John's say one person was taken to Dunedin Hospital with serious injuries. WorkSafe was notified. The Dunedin City Council has announced a proposal to rezone a significant amount of land for residential use. A short public consultation period begins tomorrow, but if adopted, the plan variation could encourage house building around the wider Dunedin area.
A proposed plan for change aimed at tackling the city's housing crisis.
And Variation 2 allows for between 2,000 and 2,500 additional units, some through rezoning land, some of that through relaxing rules in the 2GP and allowing for greater density development in a wider range of suburban settings.
The Dunedin City Council announcing the opening of consultation on Variation 2, which, if adopted, could free up many hectares of greenfields areas across Greater Dunedin, impacting 30,000 properties.
We're reducing the minimum site size required per residential unit from 500 square metres to 400 square metres per residential unit. And perhaps the biggest change is we are enabling 2 units per 500 square metres. So most sections would be over that 500 square metre mark, and so now you could redevelop that site with a duplex.
Dr Johnson says the city has an acute need for more social housing, which is also being addressed in this proposal. Policy planner Nathan Stoker says the number of people coming to Dunedin over the next 5 years is set to increase the pressure on the housing market, saying Dunedin has experienced 30 years of growth during the past 5 years, particularly with 1 to 2 person households.
So that has a big impact on the type of housing that we need. So we undertook a survey, I think it was last year, on what kind of housing people wanted and what different kinds of households wanted in their housing.
Stoker says while people generally prefer a standalone house, semi-detached townhouses are more suited to 1 to 2 person households. Mayor Aaron Hawkins admits the consultation period for Plan Change Variation 2 is quite tight, but he's welcoming feedback from people as soon as practicable.
The window for submissions on Variation 2 is about a month, but I would implore anybody who's interested in the urban form of the city and the supply of housing in the city to get involved in the process and to make submissions.
Hawkins says the council would rather hear from people during the submission time period instead of people being dissatisfied after the fact. In Dunedin, the South Today.
There are fears for a former Dunedin man, now a vice president of Myanmar, following a military takeover in the Southeast Asian nation. Henry Van Theo was sworn in as second vice president in 2016. Theo lived in Dunedin from 2011 until 2015 and worked at Silver Firm Farms Feingan Freezing Works, while his wife, Anna Sui, studied towards a PhD at the University of Otago. His whereabouts is unknown in the wake of Myanmar's military seizing control in a coup on Monday. A friend of the family, Reverend Richard Dawson of Dunedin's Leith Valley Presbyterian Church, says he understands they are safe. While the family was safe for now, Dawson says the church community in Dunedin is very concerned and praying for them every day. Demolition equipment at a Dunedin high school is making way for the construction of a new general purpose building. The plans for a new gymnasium at Bayfield High School have been around for a while, but the school's principal is pleased the physical work is underway.
An exercise in change has begun in earnest at Dunedin's Bayfield High School.
It's where we go from the abstract paper to the actual real. We are starting by knocking down our old gym behind us so that we can extend the newer gym with purpose-built changing facilities, classrooms, dance studio.
Established in 1961, many of the school's buildings are 60 years old. Principal Mark Jones says the school's redevelopment project is set to take place over a number of years, with about half of the school's buildings due to be refurbished or replaced.
From here and the construction of purpose-built changing rooms, we work our way that way through the campus where we are doing a number of roofing redevelopments to the far end of the campus where we are replacing and building a new purpose-built learning support centre. Then we move into the campus where we're refurbishing what we call our C block, which is a block of classrooms.
Jones says staff are on board with the developments, which he hopes will remain on schedule, or thereabouts.
As I said to the staff at our teacher-only day yesterday, we're 8 weeks in and already we're 6 weeks behind.
He estimates the school's multifaceted redevelopment should be completed by 2023. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, a new Netflix film is set to be shot in the South. We'll see you after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter, but it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Welcome back. New Netflix romance called The Royal Treatment is due to start filming in Dunedin later this month. The film will star American actress and singer Laura Marano, who is also co-producing the film. Canadian actor Mena Massoud, who achieved worldwide fame 2 years ago in Disney's Aladdin, also stars in the production. The film is to be directed by Rick Jacobson, who is best known for an exploitation film he made 10 years ago, which was met with unfavourable reviews. The new film is described as a modern-day fairy tale and is to be filmed in Dunedin and Wamuru. Despite a good growing season, numbers of sheep for sale were down at the annual Harden Ewe Fair. As a result, several potential buyers went home without purchasing any of the stock up for auction.
It is my pleasure to welcome you all once again to Harden, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the five.
The annual Harden Ewe Fair saw less than half the number of sheep up for auction compared to last year, which was then a two-day event.
That gives us a yarding of about 12 to 13,000, I think we've ended up with today, which is one of the smaller yardings that we've had in previous years.
Thanks to the wet spring, there's been plenty of feed around Canterbury and Marlborough, giving many farmers a bit more confidence.
You go on through the catalogue, you'll see that all those annual entries coming through in fine order. You know, we could talk about the weather, but it's obvious that we're having a year right out of the box. If we could farm like this every year, well, it wouldn't be too difficult in that regard. So everything is fit and healthy, beautifully bred and formed up for your competition today.
But prices were down this year. While some pens of ewes fetched over $200, none came close to the $280 and more paid for some pens in previous years.
209, 210, 211, 211,
all the way,
$211. Yep, go to 11. It's only $1 at $211. Gone, away. $211. They go back to Marlborough, thanks, Grant.
The low numbers of sheep for sale saw several farmers going back home without having bought any, potentially increasing the interest in the Sheffield Ewe Fair set for the middle of this month. But numbers in that upcoming auction are down from last year as well, with only about 15,000 ewes listed. In North Canterbury, the South Today.
At $200.
After the break on the South Today, questions are asked about whether the flooding of Middlemarch over Christmas could have been avoided, and we check out tomorrow's weather.
Welcome to Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have no shortage of stock. Check these out. We've got the Dunedin print t-shirts. Check out our zillions of short sleeve shirts. These are crackers. They iron themselves in the wash. Iron cheater they're called. And there's some really cool polo shirts. Look at all the bright colours. And of course there's no shortage of shorts. This is always one of our brightest corners. Our long sleeve fashion shirts. Jeans, casual trousers, dress trousers, you name it, we have you covered.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So if you're shopping for your family or yourself, come and see Alex Campbell Menswear stores. We're full of stock.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Welcome back. Emotions were high at a meeting in Middlemarch last night as residents had the chance to face the Otago Regional Council and Dunedin City Council following the January floods. Following heavy rain at the beginning of this year, March Creek broke its banks and flooded businesses, homes and properties. Locals say issues were not remedied after the 2018 floods, and if further work had been undertaken then, it could have mitigated the damage this time. The ORC says immediate work was carried out after this year's flood, but some residents are asking why they had to wait for a second flood for that work to happen. The DCC says improvements after the 2018 flood made a difference to the amount of sewage leaking into waters during the recent floods. Now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Karatane and Waikouaiti residents are being told not to use their water for cooking or drinking as lead levels are 4 times above acceptable. The Dunedin City Council has announced a proposal to rezone a significant amount of land for residential use. And it's construction time again at Dunedin's Bayfield High School with demolition equipment making way for new buildings. And time now for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, a beautiful day in South Dunedin. Looking at the situation, an anticyclone will lie south of New Zealand tomorrow with a cool, light southeasterly airflow over southern districts. A spell of fine weather is expected over the long weekend ahead of some rain mid next week. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, sunshine for the area with 22 degrees in Greymouth and 20 in Westport. Heading east, sunshine here as well with 23 degrees in Nelson and 21 in Blenheim. Further down the coast in Canterbury, partial cloud with 16 degrees in Kaikoura and Ashburton and 17 in Christchurch. To the southern towns, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can expect light winds, fine conditions and 17 degrees, while the Catlins can expect light easterlies, some cloud and 16. To central Otago, light winds and mostly fine conditions with 20 degrees in Wanaka, 19 in Queenstown and Alexandra and 18 in Te Anau. To the northern towns, light southeasterlies and cloud on the coast with 15 degrees in Timaru and Oamaru. Inland, light easterlies, fine conditions and 22 for Twizel and Omarama. In Dunedin, fresh, cold southerlies decreasing tonight, showers clearing and a low of 10. Cloudy at first tomorrow, but cloud breaking and some sunny periods developing in the afternoon. Cold with moderate southerly quarter winds, a high of 14 and a low of 5. Mostly fine and sunny on Friday with cool northeasterlies developing, a high of 16 and a low of 9. And in Invercargill, cloudy and cold tonight with a low of 7. Becoming fine and sunny tomorrow morning with cool temperatures and light easterly quarter winds, high of 15 and a low of 4. Mostly fine and sunny on Friday with warmer temperatures and light northerlies, a high of 21 and a low of 11. That's all for our news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.